Hey, good afternoon. Do you have a few minutes? I want to share with you some things that have been really, they've been just stirring in my mind, and I want to share it with you. Maybe this will also cause you to do some thinking. I was in Luke chapter 10 recently, verses 25 through 37, which is the parable of the Good Samaritan, and the story goes, the scriptures go, the truth goes, and behold, a lawyer stood up to put him, meaning Jesus, to the test, saying, "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" He said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" And he answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You've answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But he, meaning the lawyer, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied with this story. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among robbers, who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn to take care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, saying, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back." Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among robbers? The lawyer said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "You go and do likewise." So this lawyer was testing Jesus and asking him, "What do I need to do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus asks him about what's written in the law, and he responds with that great commandment that we know, those commands. And it says he, meaning the lawyer, he desired to justify himself. He tried to justify himself. He tried to make himself look better in front of Jesus. And he says to Jesus, "And who's my neighbor?" And exactly who is my neighbor? And I think about myself, and I think about how I many times will try to justify myself. And when I know that Jesus has commanded something from his scriptures, I will question it. Well, did he really say? Well, did he really mean that person? Did he really mean that I should do this or that? Did he really mean that I should? Yeah. Interestingly, in the story, the parable of that Good Samaritan and the man who's robbed and beaten, almost dead, the priest didn't stop to help. The Levite, so that chosen family, that family that was chosen to serve in the temple, walked by on the other side as well. But this one family group that just really, they're the ones that they did not get along with. They saw things very differently, and they were just pretty racist with each other. They didn't like each other at all just because of who they were. The Samaritan stopped, and boy, did he care for this guy. And so I have to think, as I think of this lawyer who asks, "And who's my neighbor?" trying to justify himself, I think about how I try to justify myself when I do what I can to not be near those who don't think like me, act like me. And I just wonder, who's that to you? When Jesus says, "Love," you're to love your neighbor as yourself. Are you asking, "Well, and who's my neighbor? Who's my neighbor?" Oh, you mean the house right next to mine? Maybe the house across the street. Who's your neighbor? Who's the one that, just that person that you find it very, very difficult to relate with because they think so differently than you, they believe so differently than, they look so different. They've chosen to do things to their body that you'd never choose to do. And what does Jesus say? Love them like you love yourself. Have you asked lately, and who is my neighbor? I know that phrase has been bouncing around in my head for days as I just ponder that myself. Oh, Jesus, have I been asking who's my neighbor? Or am I just willing to love people because they're made in your image and because, well, simply put, you've told me to? Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy this beautiful weather.